What if the greatest threat to you and your business isn't the economy, your competition, or even your talent pipeline, but whether you and your team are fully alive and awake? What if productivity, efficiency, and execution, all the things we've been trained to chase, were blinding us to one thing, the one thing that's actually the thing that unlocks all success? That's human potential and possibility. In this episode, I sit down with someone who's not just asking those kind of questions, he's awakening himself first and others to answer them. My guest has traveled over 55,000 miles across America, connecting with frontline workers, CEOs, HR leaders, and emerging talent. And along the way, he uncovered a powerful truth. When people are just getting by, companies flatline. But when people come alive, when they become fully alive, when they feel a sense of belief, clarity, momentum, and purpose, they transform, and so do their businesses. This conversation isn't about just some kind of other leadership framework or a corporate training fad. That's not what it's going to be about. It's about leading and leaning into a movement, the fully alive movement. It's a rebellion against the grind, a rallying cry to step up and wake up so that we can move forward. So if you're ready to reclaim your energy, your courage, your joy, and you're ready to wake up and become fully alive, you are definitely in the right place today, my friends. Hey, my friends, welcome back to the Uncommodified Podcast. I'm Tim Windsor. My guest today on the show is Dirk Beveridge. Dirk, welcome to the show.
Tim, I am so honored and thrilled to be here, my friend. Oh my goodness. Thanks so much for having me.
This is going to be a lot of time. And just just quick connection point here. So my son connected with Dirk a number of years ago in the industry that he was in. He saw Dirk at an event and really had an affinity to what Dirk was doing, started following Dirk's world, encouraged me to do the same. And it was my son, Chris, that connected Dirk and I. And so I have a lot of faith this conversation is going to be an amazing conversation, of course. But before we get into it, let me tell you a little bit about Dirk, my friends. Dirk is a self-empowerment coach and keynote speaker who is empowering working professionals to reclaim control, clarity, and energy so they can lead themselves and their teams with purpose and momentum. And he is on a mission, focused on a mission to awaken 1 million people to the power of self-empowerment and the joy of becoming fully alive. And so let's kick this conversation off. It's an uncorked conversation with a drink. I'm having a coffee because it's Friday afternoon. What are you having, Dirk?
I'm going to have a water if you don't mind. Cheers.
Oh, water's good. It's the elixir of life, Dirk. You got to have water. Plus, you've been in the water, you've been consulting in the water industry for a long time. So you gotta support the cause, my friend.
No doubt about it. Hey,
No,
and
that,
I will say this is relatively new for me. Today I'm looking at my morning journaling, and Tim, today is day 314 of being alcohol free.
wow,
So 315 days ago, I would have had a beer with you. But
there you go.
so today it's cheers, my friend.
Well, water is good, and that's a good journey to be on. I think I might have to get on that journey eventually, Dirk. Who knows? But the cosmos might be saying something to me for sure. So, all right, listen, let's start this here. I always like to start the conversation with a question. So, I would like to know what this fully alive movement thing is. That's one thing I want to understand, Dirk,
Okay,
today.
yeah.
And the other thing I want to know is what has brought you to this moment in your life and your journey? I'm interested in that. So, what is this
Cool.
fully alive movement? And why is Dirk finding this at this moment in time in his life and for others?
Yeah, oh, such a great series of questions there, and let me think how to take it. Let me start by saying this from a business perspective. All right, Tim. What I've discovered is that 80% of employees are overlooked, underserved, and underinvested in. All right, and now how did I come to that conclusion, and how does that lead to the fully alive movement? Um, I truly believe that as leaders, we have the responsibility and the opportunity to help these employees, not just the emerging leaders, not just the leadership team, not just the sales team, these 80% that are keeping our businesses running. I believe we have the responsibility and the opportunity to help them thrive and flourish, not just at work, but in life. Okay. Now, how did I come to that conclusion? Coming out of COVID, I came up with a crazy ass idea. I went to Camping World, bought a 38-foot RV without telling my wife. Wrong thing to do. All right. It was a long night, man. A long night. But then my brilliant partner, Bethany Hepler, she and I created this brand called We Supply America. We wrapped this RV with We Supply America. And for the last 4 summers, I've been going across this country from Memorial Day to Labor Day, crossing this country from sea to shining sea, stopping at primarily independent, family-owned, employee-owned distribution and manufacturing businesses. And Tim, after 40 years as a consultant, keynote speaker, strategist, and innovator for these types of businesses, after 40 years of walking in the front door of these businesses, for the last 4 summers, I've parked the RV in the back
Mm,
and I've walked in the back door.
mm,
And I've walked in through the loading docks and the receiving docks. And I've met the average employee, these 80% that are overlooked, underserved, and underinvested in. And what I have discovered is that we as human beings, we're yearning. We have a yearning inside of us for something more. Many cannot articulate it. Many have not even said it. Many of us are struggling quietly and silently. But we have this yearning and we know that there's something more to waking up, punching in, clocking out, going home, and doing it all over again.
mm,
And so what happened, Tim, is 4 years ago, I went out to champion the noble calling of distribution with that RV. Over the last 4 years, we've made 32 documentary films plus 32 CEO films, if you will. And we left with no business plan. We left with no revenue model. We went out with this calling. We thought to tell stories about distribution and manufacturing, and we did that. But what I learned is that our stories really aren't about the businesses. They are,
yeah,
but they're about the people. They're
yeah,
about the people who keep our country supplied.
yeah. Dirk, I mean, I love that framework, and I resonate with it a lot. I often say to the businesses and the people that I work with,
Yeah.
leaders, I say the one thing that you have to understand, even though it might be difficult for you, is that in a lot of ways your business doesn't exist. I mean, if we think about a business, I mean, take a big business like Apple, let's say.
Yeah.
You know, when you call up or you go into a store, you don't talk to Apple. Apple doesn't serve you. It doesn't make things. It doesn't answer the phone. It doesn't give you service. It doesn't answer your tech support calls. Apple doesn't do that. People
Yes.
do. People do. And so we get lost in the corporate branding and the branding on the, over the front door, that sign, we get lost. And the company seems to be that, but in a lot of ways it isn't. And so I so resonate with this idea because once we transform our opinion that the business in itself is an construct, it's a
Oh, yeah.
brand, but actually it's the people. And the wisdom and what I love about what you just said is walking in the back door instead of the front door. And again, if you're listening in, I always say to you listeners, you're listening for a reason. And I'm just going to challenge you, even right now in this conversation, in what area of your life, personally or professionally, do you need to walk in the back door? Do you
Oh,
need to not go in the front door, the facade on the street facing thing, but to go in the back door of a relationship or an experience and actually ask yourself a subset of different questions? It is a powerful, provocative metaphor, Dirk. And I love it. And so, again, if you're listening in, that's my first challenge to today. What door are you walking in to observe this thing you're trying to figure out? And maybe part of it is walking in another door. And so you walk in this door, you go in the back, you start having these experiences, Dirk, and you come to this understanding, or you start to see that for some reason, from your perspective, people aren't fully awake, they're not fully alive, something's happening. What does this look like as you start having this experience?
oh, Tim. I love your riffs. First of all, okay. I love what you're pulling out and the metaphor. What does it look like? Um, Tim, I think maybe the best way I can describe this is, I go in these back doors and you go into these warehouses, you go to these manufacturing facilities, and you, you know, um, you sometimes meet individuals who are tatted up,
Hmm.
right? Um, and I got to tell you something. I used to shy away from that, from acknowledging that. But maybe on the third or fourth stop, when I saw more and more people tatted up, I said, hell, there's something there.
Yeah.
You know, and so one of my favorite questions was, hey, after we meet and all this, right? Maybe my third or fourth question, but it's, hey man, I see you're tatted up. I love them. And I said, do you have a favorite? What do you think their response is every time? Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
got one.
just about every time, right? About three people said no, Dirk, they were all mistakes. But anyway, and Tim, the stories you hear,
Yeah.
I have heard about more people's grandmothers. Truly,
Mm,
I don't know about what it is, but I've heard more people's grandmothers with tears flowing in their eyes as they're
yeah,
thinking about what their grandmother has brought to them to raise them, or whatever it happens to be.
yeah,
And here's the key is every individual you meet has a story,
yeah,
and they want to tell the story.
yeah.
And here's the thing, um, Tim, you hear those stories, and every time I'm listening, I'm saying, shit, it's like I'm talking, not listening, because we all have similars. We're all different. We're all
Yeah.
unique. We're all on our own journey. But you you mentioned the word awaken. I don't know if I should go here, but I'm going to go here. All right, Tim,
Let's go here.
I truly believe, I believe, I've come to believe through these interactions I've had, I truly believe to a degree we are all asleep.
Mm,
This is a noisy world. It's a
yeah,
chaotic world. It is a demanding world. And everybody is being told who to be.
yeah,
My employer is telling me who to be.
yeah,
My wife is telling me who to be. My kids are telling me who to be. Society is trying to tell me. Washington, D.C. is trying to, everybody is trying to tell me who to be. And when you meet a stranger and you ask them about their tattoos or whatever it happens to be, and you hug a stranger, I mean, with real love, you see, you see these people, me,
yeah,
who knows that there's something more.
yeah. I mean, Dirk, I mean, I love this. I mean, there's a couple of things here in the conversation that I just want to tuck into a little bit
Yeah,
and let's explore them. And again, listeners, this conversation and none of the conversations I have are rehearsed or scripted. I always tell my guests, and I said this to Dirk before he started, is the conversation we're supposed to find will find us. That's what I really believe. And so I just see some really interesting themes here and I want to park on them. And one is, you know, I've often thought about the wonderful movie Awakenings by the Robin Williams movie,
okay,
and this idea of just this people are we're sort of slumbering around in our worlds, and I think there is a powerful truth to that. I think we all have that propensity, and in my world, I think about this idea of uncommodification,
yeah,
of living our unique self, and I
yes,
and I and one of the things I talk about is what I'll call the anesthetizing power of sameness.
yes,
It's a sleeping drug.
yes,
So this quest for homogeneity, where we all have to look the same, sound the same, where we all have to say have no tattoos or all the same tattoo, that homogeneousness is an evil, an impressively evil force, I think, because it causes us to slumber about who we really are and who we were created to be. It's a sleeping sickness, I think, that we do have. I totally agree with that. And I love the fact that you unlock that or you see awakening in people's eyes when you ask them, don't tell me the facts about who you are, but tell me your story. It's story and narrative. And I do think in our culture, one of the things that I think the sad part of our culture is we've wandered away from story and narrative
yes,
as the primary way that we experience the world or think about it. I mean, ancestrally in our country, Canada, and
yeah,
your country, our countries were storytellers.
yeah,
They told story. They didn't have written documents. They told story, and story is such a powerful thing for actually understanding things beyond the essence of these facts that we have. The story of someone's life and actually being interested in that. It's interesting that that's sort of the moment that starts to bring that awakening. I think that's a really powerful idea and truth, Dirk.
Boy, I love it. Thank you. And Tim, I think your work, right, and our work is colliding, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's so important. And here's why. Okay, you use the word evil. Um, Tim, mm, I rebelled hard against Adam Grant. You know
Okay.
Adam Grant,
I sure
right?
did. Yeah.
And I love Adam Grant. Adam Grant's brilliant. Adam Grant um New York Times bestselling. My books have not sold as much as his, just for the record. Okay. Um, and uh, there's two things I actually hired Adam Grant twice before he was Adam Grant. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So I know him, and he's a beautiful individual, truly a beautiful individual. But there are two things that I'd love to sit down and talk to him about. All right. And one of them goes to this word evil that you talked about. Maybe about 6 months ago on social, he came out with a video where he's interviewing somebody. And these two concluded, Adam and this person he's concluded that research tells you that being a parent does not make you happy. And I got to tell you something, they've got data to show that. Okay. To my mind, that's evil.
Mm,
This is evil coming to the surface.
mm.
It's evil trying to shape the story and to shape a narrative
Yeah.
that says, as a parent, you cannot be happy. And I got to tell you something, I'm a parent. Has it been a struggle? Yeah. Has it been wonderful? Yeah.
Mhm.
And for the last 31 weeks, after going to Athens, Greece, and walking the steps of Socrates, Plato's, and Aristotle, I hired my tour guide, Athens John, and for the last 31 weeks, we're diving deep into philosophy. And
Mm.
he and I talked about this. And what he helped me understand is that these researchers are taking a pure scientific view
Yeah.
of certain things, and we're losing humanity. We're losing the interest in why people are getting tatted up. We're
Yeah.
losing the interest in understanding the struggles and the heartache and the goals and the dreams and the yearning that we all have. And so I think you're bringing out the fact that these conversations are critical.
Yeah.
I agree. And we do need to fight back and push back on a lot of the narrative
Yeah.
that is causing us to be asleep.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. And I think, you talk about parenting, and I think that's where it starts, obviously. I think part of the challenge is that if you look at those workers that you walk in and you see in the back door of
Yeah.
those businesses,
Yeah.
they are all obviously highly influenced by like we all are, by our upbringing, our parental structure, all of these
Sure.
things. And unfortunately, and I'm guilty of this too. I have two adult children now. I'm glad that we're still friends, which is
Yeah.
awesome. We're
Right.
great friends today. We weren't always great friends along the way. But the reality is I didn't do them a good service at times, because sometimes I parented them a little bit into a box. I parented them into a way I wanted them to believe or behave. And what I realized, and I have to admit this to myself, I did it partly because I saw them as a reflection of me. And as people looked at them, I felt that they would judge me as a result of that. And so I wanted to push them in a certain way, and so that I could feel good about myself. And I think that I'll just be honest, as a parent, that wasn't the right strategy. And what I'm learning over the years now is to discover the wonder of my children fully alive, fully awake to who they are in their unique expression. And it's different, and it's vibrant, and it's complicated, and it's messy, and it's wonderful, in all wrapped up into one. And that's just a small microcosm of people. But we have all of these people, a generation of people, if we're not careful, or generations that are sleepwalking through life, as you said, punching a clock, doing their thing, and they're not fully alive or awake to the larger impact that they can have. They dichotomize their lives. They're a work person and a home person, which I don't believe in. We're a person,
Yep.
and part of this, I think, comes down to our feeling of insignificance. I recently had a conversation on a podcast with somebody, and I quoted this from a book that I read years ago. It's called Getting to Maybe: How the World Has Changed. And the one thing the authors in that book say is that oftentimes the thing we want to do to make a difference, we convince ourselves it's so insignificant that we do nothing. So the fear of our insignificant contribution makes us sit down, fall in line, shut up, and say nothing or do anything different to create change. And then change is impossible. And so awakening to our potential and our ability that we have choice and empowerment and the ability to move things towards the destiny that we want them to be, whether it's in our society and our businesses, is a critical function that we all, I think, have to, in my opinion, we've got to wake up to,
We do.
because we have tremendous potential. Humans are
Right.
amazingly wonderful and wily creatures.
It's amazing. And Tim, here, let me add to that, right? I mean, so um, tell me what you think about this. Um, why are we asleep? Why do we um follow the rules, follow the expectations of this noisy, crazy ass world, right? Um, just yesterday, I was doing some thinking, and I with Athens John actually, and we looked at Socrates' statement that the unexamined life
Uh,
is not worth living. Oh, no, you see that quote on LinkedIn all the time,
right, right.
but when you stop and you think about it,
Yeah,
that's heavy stuff.
yeah,
First, the unexamined life, and then it's not worth living. So we could unpack that a lot, two heavy
yeah,
things. But
yeah,
here's my point: the unexamined life, right? We are conditioned, I believe, to subordinate ourselves. We are conditioned to put ourselves last.
yes,
We are conditioned to put in that extra overtime at work
yeah,
because the products have got to get shipped. Now, if you miss your kid's soccer game, we got to get this out. We're conditioned to put ourselves last. We've got to take care of our spouse. We've got to take care of our kids. We got to put ourselves last. We've got to take care of our God. We got to take care of our church. We got to take care of our country. We have to contribute to something greater than ourselves. The entire narrative
yeah,
is that you're insignificant.
yeah,
The entire narrative is put yourself last, even when our kids were on the soccer field or playing hockey.
yeah,
What did the coaches tell them from this high? They said there's no I in team.
yeah,
Are you crazy? Today in work, I mean, leaders, right, are trying to rally the team. So whatever they say, put we before me.
right.
Tim,
Uh,
man, would you do me a favor? Get on my bandwagon because I call it the we before me paradox,
yeah,
right?
I'm
And
on your bandwagon, brother.
and here's the message we have to bring to everybody.
Yeah,
Put me. I want every one of your listeners starting today to tell them that they are the most important thing in their life. They are. Because if they are not whole, if they don't examine themselves, if they don't understand those uniquenesses that you talk about, their gifts, their strengths, their beauty, their power, if they don't understand that and live that every day, they can't ripple into the world as a force
no,
for good.
no,
So start with me.
yeah,
That's the motto. That's the mantra that I want everybody. And it's not selfish.
no, it's not,
It's
and that's
it's
the critical
sacred.
key.
It's
Yeah,
sacred.
it is sacred, and Dirk, it's possible. The reason why Chris, my son, connected us
Yeah.
is we may have been separated at birth and raised in two different countries.
Right.
Because I have never, just again, listeners, just real full disclosure, Dirk and I have never had a conversation before. Okay, we had a cursory connection on email. Hey, do you want to come on? Awesome. We've not talked at all. So this is the first time we're interacting, and it's just a delightful and conversation because, is that I've always said to people the same thing. I've said, people say there's no I in team, but I say, but there is a me,
Darn right.
because there is an M and an E. There's a me in there. But the same thing that you're talking about, I believe so strongly, is that we have converted this idea of of focusing on ourselves as being selfish, to your point. And actually, I believe very strongly. In fact, my daughter's older than my son, got married last year. Wonderful guy, awesome. Andrew's amazing man, great companion for my daughter Melissa. And but my father of the bride speech was entitled "Don't Buy Into the Soulmate Bullshit Myth." That was the title of my father of the bride. And what I said is, if you guys are coming at this relationship from a place that you're looking for the other person to make you whole, then you are going to have a very difficult relationship. In fact, we need to focus on our own wholeness, our own health. Focusing on ourselves is not selfish. It is actually critical so that we can do all the other things. And to your point, as we start looking at priorities, and you put a lot of different things in there, work and family and country and faith and God and all the things like that, I have a specific a paradigm that I look at that. And some of my listeners, this isn't their jam, religion's not their jam, or spirituality's not their jam, and that's fine. But I will say that one of the things that, because I love philosophy and I love religious history and all of these things, I think part of it stems from moving away from Socratic thinking and some really good things. And some of the religious understandings we have, for instance, that we have this idea that, it's love of God first, and then love of others, and then love of self. I think that's foreign, actually, even to the Judeo-Christian scriptures, because according to what I read in that, historically, as I've read it, it suggests to me that actually, I think Jesus himself said that I need to love my neighbor as I love myself. So if I can't love myself, how do I love my neighbor? But later on, I think in the New Testament scripture, it says, how do you love God if you can't love your brother? Okay, so if you have to love your brother so you can love God, but you have to love your brother as yourself, then self-love is a critical factor in getting the order of these loves in the right place,
Yes.
and this takes us back to the wisdom of Sophia and the three loves and all of these things that we get from ancient understanding. But it's so critical because we've raised a generation and we told them you're evil and you're bad if you love and appreciate yourself.
Yes.
Seriously, I hate to say this,
I-
Dirk and listeners, but how fucked up is that? That's terrible.
It's terrible.
Because now we have a bunch of people who feel guilty when they actually want to take care of themselves. And it actually maybe puts them to sleep. Maybe part of that is why they're not awake in this process.
I think it is, if not the reason they're asleep, right? It is certainly at the top, right?
Yeah.
And again, it's this conditioning. So I think
Wow.
we have this opportunity. And I think I shit, how do I say this humbly? Because I think the world needs these conversations we're having today,
You do.
Tim, because there are very powerful people with a narrative anti to this. And can I take this into business just for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
And so let's take this whole thinking of living fully alive and individually. Now let's take it into business as well. Okay. And um um Tim, I've gone across this country, 100 different businesses. I've hugged thousands of people. I've listened. And oftentimes I'd meet somebody and man, I get to know Rich. Rich, man, how long have you been here? 20 years. Rich, what has kept you here for 20 years? He says, well, we're not a number here. We're not a cog in a wheel. I said, wow, that's great. What does that mean? He says, well, we're like family here. And you walk around and you see this beautiful, beautiful caring in some of these businesses. Now, there are forces out there. Adam Grant is one of them. Reed Hastings, the founder of Netflix, is one of them. This new amazing entrepreneur, Cody Sanchez, is one of them. The Society for Human Resources Management is one of them. There are these very strong, powerful voices out there saying that if you use the word family to describe your business culture, you're wrong. Stop it. You're evil for doing it.
Yeah.
They're literally, I haven't seen anybody use the word evil, but that's basically what they're saying.
Yep.
And Tim, I have come to the conclusion that these people are saying those things because they're invited over to Davos to sit on the stage of the World Economic Forum.
Hmm.
They're a publicly traded company, right?
Mhm.
They, none of these individuals have bought a 38-foot RV, traveled the country, walking in the back doors of these businesses.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you, those businesses that have cultures of family,
Yeah.
where you see real care. Look,
Right.
not perfect,
No.
but real care,
Yeah.
real concern, where people aren't numbers, where there's a bond, where there's dignity, not just in the job or the output, but dignity in the human being.
Yeah.
People give 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years of their life,
Yes.
right? With the relationships that are developed and all of that.
Yeah.
These are the places where people have, I think, in a work environment, the opportunity. It's not perfect.
No.
To, in fact, find meaning and purpose in their work rather than just making a shit ton of money, so on and so forth.
Yeah, you know what, Dirk, it's so true. I worked with a company a number of years ago. I won't say what company it was, but we were trying to help them articulate the culture they wanted. I think we're culture creators, not, I think culture more as I'm a weather creator, not a weather forecaster. So we create the culture. A culture, I've always said, is the sum of people's actions, behaviors, and attitudes, and it's equal to and no greater than the worst behavior, not the best, the worst behavior you allow to persist and exist in your environment. And we were working through some cultural stuff with them, and it came to this crossroads where half of them wanted to articulate that we're family and others didn't. And eventually they decided to eradicate the word family from their statement because there's way too much baggage with it and all this stuff. And listen, I get it for some people. Listen, for me, by the way, I came from a broken home. I came from a family that was fractured in 1,000 ways, that had problems that I never wanted to recreate. I had a lot of baggage when it came to family, but I also recognized that within a generation, I could change that if I became fully awake and alive to my opportunity. So I went generationally, I was raised without a father, and I was my son's best man at his wedding. That to me is what getting fully alive and awake to our power and potential is, because I could sit and bitch and complain that I came from a shitty family, or I can become fully alive and awake to my opportunity.
Yes.
And possess the power to make a change. And within one generation, we could make a change. And now our kids and our grandkids, my wife and I'm turning 60. And my wife has just turned 65, and we just celebrated our 39th wedding anniversary. And
Congrats.
in my wife's 39th anniversary card, I wrote something to this effect. At the end of it, I said, Pam, we have understood the wisdom of the Dalai Lama, who said that a wise man will plant trees under whose shade they will never sit. And I said, you and I have planted trees that will bear fruit for generations in our family. And this is us. And this is the power and potential that we have as we think about our opportunities. And to your point, if we can get people to think broader about these things and awaken themselves to the potential that they have in business, in life, and to become fully alive and fully aware for the benefit of ourselves and others, businesses are improved. Everything is different. Our lives is better. Society's better. Because at the end of the day, you know, The government and society is just us. I
That's
mean,
all it is.
they're not these impressively big things that create themselves. We're it.
Yes.
And we have opportunity and responsibility and accountability to live well for ourselves and others. But this sleepy sickness that we get also is a grand excuse, I think, at times. It says, I'm powerless, I can't do anything about it, I'll leave that to somebody else. And clearly you're not leaving the work to somebody else, Dirk. So here's my question. So
Yep.
now we're in 2025, halfway through 2025, and Dirk is on a mission.
Yep.
And Dirk is going to take every opportunity to punch people right in the nose in a respectful way with this message and say, guys, wake up.
Yep.
So, where do you see this going? Like in your mind, as you begin to visualize what this looks like, and you're on this mission to wake up a million people,
Yeah.
where is this taking you in the next 6 months, Dirk?
That when I appreciate the question because um, we truly are building this in real time, but there is a vision. Okay.
Mhm.
So where is it going over the next 6 months? Over the next 30 days, you're going to see a new rebranding of me personally and of our organization towards the fam.
Nice.
So 6 weeks ago, we just um, launched our first step into the Fully Alive movement by launching our new newsletter every Sunday morning. The fam is delivered. And our vision for that is you wake up 6 o'clock in the morning, nobody else is awake. You get your cup of coffee, you sit down, and we're going to have a very intimate conversation through that email about living fully alive. That's number one. Number two, um, my keynote speaking, right? My keynote speaking, we are bringing, I've been, some individuals have called me a market of one with this message, if you will, right? We are truly focused on helping leaders and others understand that self-empowerment is a strategy that you can bring into how you lead and a philosophy into how you lead.
Mhm.
And so we're going to be doing that through our keynote speaking. Um, and what we're also in the process of doing is we're actually building out our app and our community that's going to be launched in early 2026. Where we're going to bring people together in in a forum, if you will, to have very safe, open conversations about this living fully alive and being self-empowered.
Mm.
Um, those are parts of the journey that we're on right now.
That's a great journey. And again, guys, if you're listening in and you're still with us, you're listening in for a reason. Don't forget that.
Right.
And so I will say, first of all, I signed up, by the way, for the FAM newsletter,
Thank you.
and the FAM newsletter is freaking awesome. It's inspirational, it's challenging, it's wise. There is it is unique. I really really appreciate it. I've signed up. I'm in.
Thank you.
Again, if you're listening in, you should sign up and get in. If they wanted to sign up and connect with you, Dirk,
Yeah.
where's the best place to do that right now or into the future?
Yeah.
Because
For right now, go
it'll
to
take a while for this episode to go live. So
yeah.
let's talk about now and then into the future.
Yeah. Let's go to dirkbeveridge.com.
Okay.
Right. And you'll be led to the FAM newsletter right now
Okay.
for that,
Yeah.
and eventually the entire movement is going to be there as well as the FAM.
That's awesome. You know, I did a podcast a number of years ago, and it was around this idea that's very important to me. It tucks into what I think you're trying to create. And what I said is leaders who actually want to make catalytic change need to create movements, not give mandates. They also shouldn't just write manifestos.
Correct.
And what I love about this is you understand the power of a movement, and it's the generation of power and the flywheel effect and all the stuff that can come. And man, Dirk, I just my hope, my strong hope for you and belief is that this thing is going to ignite a wonderful fire in a unique way in the circles that you get an opportunity to be in, to communicate in. I mean, you clearly are extremely passionate. You're wonderfully human. And these are great qualities, again, because we become so stereotyped. We're so robotic. So this is the way it is. I have people say to me, well, you should do it this way and you should do your podcast this way. And I go, no, I'm not
Oh,
interested. All the time, I get people calling me and saying, well, if you just just stayed in the lane in your podcast, we could get you an endorsement. And I'd say, you're missing the point. I don't care.
Right.
I'm
Right.
not in a lane. I'm in whatever I want. Being fully alive for me
Yeah.
is the wonder of curiosity takes my brain in 1,000
In different
places.
ways.
And so I want to be fully alive to my own experience for the benefit of others and for the benefit of myself. And again, if you're listening in, I want to encourage you to do that. So
So
Dirk, best way to find you, Dirk, dirkbeveridge.com, right?
yes, it is. And can I add just one thing, Tim,
Yeah, please.
to this whole point, right, about this movement that we're
Yeah.
creating into life? We have been absolutely flabbergasted, surprised in these first 6 weeks of the fam.
Uh,
Um, I've been moved by walking into the back doors of these businesses,
that's
right?
right.
We started this the Fully Alive movement, because we are absolutely committed to empowering 1 million people. And we know that that average individual in the back room,
Yeah.
overlooked, underserved, underinvested in,
Yeah.
they need this. They want this, right? As I want this, as I need this, right?
Yeah.
What's absolutely surprised us is in the first 6 weeks, those that are raising their hands at an accelerated rate
Yeah.
are leaders.
Wow. Powerful.
And Tim, I got to tell you something. We capture the email address, right? Blah, blah, blah,
Uh,
blah. Oh, and then, okay, now the sign up, 7 questions. Um, we are blown away by the percentage of people that are answering all 7 questions, and the vulnerability, the honesty that people are sharing of what they're carrying.
mm.
It's blowing us away.
Wow.
And
It's like you've tapped into a frequency, an attenuation in the soul and spirit and psyche right now of our culture and our time and people. And I do think that, there's this interesting thing about harmonics and stuff. And every once in a while, you strike something and it just reverberates down a channel in people's hearts and minds. And it's pretty clear that you are banging on a drum and you're ringing a note that is clearly resonating with people, and we understand the power of frequency and sound, and so you are dialed into a frequency that people are starting to attenuate to as well. And I can't imagine what this is going to look like at the end of year one, year two, year three in this journey. But I'm excited for your work, Dirk, and being connected along the way. And I also want to say just publicly that, my son isn't your average 33-year-old. He wasn't the average 21-year-old. He wasn't the average child. He always thought different things and sort of fit into a very different way of looking at the world. And I will say he's not a pushover when it comes to being impressed. But I will say that he came away from the experience that he had with you a number of years ago, so struck, so impacted. And I know he's connected with you a number of times. And the one thing he has said to me is that he was amazed, is that you were so busy, you're doing all these things, but you reached back to him and connected with him in a human way. And that was deeply impressive to him. And what I would say about that is, and what I would say to you listeners is, this thing that Dirk is doing isn't just some kind of facade and some kind of thing just so he can crank out another $5 bill from some machine. This is clearly who you are and who you were created to be. And it's part potentially of a predetermined, but mostly predestined future. And I think that is the most exciting part of this journey. And as you find your place in this world and what you need to be, I think you're going to have the tremendous impact. And I would just say to everybody listening, wake up and walk in the back door and observe what's going on, because everybody's got a story and you got a story, and it's time to wake up and tell our stories, connect them together, and walk into the future and create the better place, the better world, the better business, the better communities that we want, because no one else is going to do it. It's time for us to wake up, and step in. And Dirk, it's an absolute privilege to have chatted with you today. I'm going to give you last word to my listeners. If you could just say one other thing to them today that you want to crystallize in their mind, what do you want to leave them with?
So I was at a 4th of July party, um, what, 2 weeks ago or so, and it's so funny too, when we go to these parties, everybody goes over there. I stand over here because all that social talk. I don't like it. I just I stand over here until somebody wants to come and talk about this stuff, right? And my friend Nat came over and we started talking, and he sees the fam and he sees all this, and we start going into something, and he asked me. He says, "So Dirk, what's the end game? You do all this stuff. You work on yourself. What's the end game?" And here's my response, right? I um I said, "Matt, I don't know, but here's what I do know. Here's what I have concluded." I told him, I reminded him, and he knows this, that 2 years ago I held my father with my mother as he took his last breath.
Mm.
I saw my father transition. And so that moment has been on my mind a long time, those 2 years.
Mm.
And I've thought about my last breath. And what I've come to the conclusion that when I take my last breath, my last thought is going to be, did I become the person I was born to be?
Mm.
I know that's going to be my last thought. I know I'm going to ask myself, did I lead? Did I live? And did I love fully alive?
Mm.
And that's my greatest hope, my greatest wish for everybody is to wake up, is to put in the work, because it is hard and it's never done. It's a lifelong journey of becoming the person you are meant to be. But when you do, Tim, you said it 3 or 4 times on this interview conversation better than I could ever say it. You talked about the infinite possibilities and potential that resides in each of us. And it's, we owe it to ourselves. We owe it to ourselves to see what we're made of and who we're born to be. And I would just encourage every single one of us to put in the work, to truly understand who you are, what your gifts are in this world, and go and live joyfully, fully, richly, and become that best version of yourself.
Wow. Dirk, powerful. Typically, I'd have a closing. There is no other closing. You've heard the closing, ladies and gentlemen. If you listened in, you listened for a reason. Get out there. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Cheers. Dirk, appreciate your time.
And thank you so much, man.